To order with the pledge of
recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do you have the agenda? What else? Okay, here's there two in there minutes. Okay, apologies for that interruption. Yeah, there should be one for each of you. Okay. So, I would like a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from April 25th, 2022.
I'll move.
Second?
Sure.
Okay, Jim Rumsey, any comments, questions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. I will, for the record, note that Cindy had some oral surgery today and is not speaking very well. So I'll acknowledge her gestures. Okay, public comment. No public comment. Close public comment. Let's go to report of water, wastewater. And Ed, is Brendan joining us? No. Oh, yes, he's the B.
Yeah, he's just muted in the video.
There he is. Okay, yeah, okay. So Ed, why don't you take it away?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the water quickly. The water quality report has been sent out with our billing. I have some copies that I'm supposed to post at Charlie John's. I keep forgetting to drop them off, but I will be doing that this week. We haven't really had many meter issues. We are installing meters as we speak. The transfer switch at the well building is still in need of repair. However, during the last storm, we did find out that we can operate it manually. And actually, in the long run, we're saving money on fuel costs because it doesn't really need to run all the time.
But it does require. But it does require someone to be on site to turn it on.
Yeah, but anytime the power comes out, we're already on site. We are already here anyways, you know what I mean? So we did have to call Eldridge about the vaporizer because once again they failed. And during the last storm, the one at the wastewater plant failed as well. I had to relight it, so on and so forth. We did some painting at the well building. We will be flushing hydrants between the week, May 23rd and 27th, so the week before Memorial Day weekend.
Great.
Unfortunately, we did not receive the water grant. I'm sure most of you have heard. There really is no reasoning in this case for this funding application. However, it does look and appear that most of the projects that were funded are very large projects that were much more substantial than ours. I'm not sure if Brendan has anything to add to that, but
yeah, and it's similar to how like projects would have been scored if it was just regular EFC financing, and how it would score on the IUP list. And unfortunately, that project just wouldn't score well because there's no like consent order. There's no major water quality issues. It's really just main replacement. So in general, it doesn't score high with EFC. You know, on top of our usual median household income issue. So that's likely the reason. All we can do is try again and hope maybe the money trickles down to it.
Okay, I did hear, as you know, there will be another round of WIA funding in the fall. So we may be able to apply then again. And are there grants? Yeah. So are there grants available? I had heard it at NICOM for water meters. Does that make us fall into the same problem with mean household income?
It doesn't help. The median household income thing doesn't help in any case, but we have been able to get funding for water meter projects in the past with the Climate Smart Communities program. We got it for the Village of Sydney a couple years ago. It's a good program. I can't remember for water meters. I think it's a 50% grant, but I'm not positive.
Well, I think anything would help.
Yeah, and how are the meters? When were the meters put in? They're like 20 years old, maybe.
Yeah, so they're 20 years old, and at this point, from what we've replaced already, because we are in the process of replacing them all, I'm estimating originally $40,000, $50,000 to replace them all, but with the costs the way they are, I'm not really sure turn into 60 or 70.
Right.
I know the meters we use right now, if I'm just going like a 5/8 by 3/4 meter, it's
300.
Yeah, around there. I have the most recent quote. I just purchased 60 meters a couple months ago.
Yeah, I think it's important to try and get. I think it's important to try and get whatever funds we can.
So, and then the only thing we're competing with other bigger projects, and the biggest thing with that is you're competing against other communities that don't have water meters at all. And they're going to get it before you guys do. But I agree, it's worth a shot. We might as well go for it and see if we can. And that's open now. The CFA round opened up last week. Have you guys done anything with the Climate Smart program in the past? Because in order to go for the big chunk of money for a big Climate Smart program, you have to do a couple of the initial steps to become a certified Climate Smart community.
Part of that is LED lights, correct?
Yeah.
We have done 3 or 4 things for Climate Smart so far.
Okay. Yeah,
so
we've done things that are Climate Smart, but whether or not we've been part of the program is
No. I'm talking about things as part of the program. So the things that we've done as part of the program is LED streetlights, the decorative lights that we've done. If we pass a universal permit to allow for solar.
Yep, then you do have, I think it's those 2 of those things you have to have done in order to apply for it. So I think it sounds like you're probably in good shape then.
Yeah, so we do have those. Yep.
All right, good. So I'll look into the application details for you and get back to you then.
Right.
I'll have to get you a better estimate on how many more meters need to be replaced in the village. I have a master list. I'll just have to count them up for you.
And are we submitting this as in you guys are doing install, or are you going to contract it out?
We probably just do the installs ourselves, I think.
It's up to you guys.
It's going to save us money because we're going to have to pay 50% of that anyway, so we should probably just
and actually
other things.
We might even be able to count, if you guys do the install, we might be able to count that as in-kind towards the 50%.
Good. All right, let's see where that takes us.
Okay, so I'm going to move on here. Schooling, JR has been licensed. He has his grade C at this time.
Okay.
So moving on with projects. Now that we've added one here, which isn't a bad thing. We have the FEMA water crossing. Now, I've been talking to Brendan about getting the agreement together for the bid package to do that water crossing. We've talked back and forth about whether or not we just include it in the bid package for Pump Station 2 or not, which I think that's what he would rather do. The only thing that I was wondering, and wondering if the board would consider is looking at finishing the other side of the river that has not been completed while they're doing the other side of the river. Because
How
they're
much
going to
would
already
that-
have equipment. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But they're already going to have all the equipment here to put in the HDPE pipe underneath the river and everything. So in my eyes, because of how all the equipment being here, it would make more sense to move to the other side of the river once they're done with that and finish the footage that needs to be done over there so we have redundancy there at the bridge. And maybe they would want to do that first prior to the new river crossing, because then there's going to be no downtime and they wouldn't have to worry about doing a live tap, and there's a lot of things that go on in that process.
Well, let's see
The only
what
thing we have-
it comes back.
Well, so that's what Brendan, maybe he's got something here for us
Yeah.
on what that would cost.
Yeah, so the thought was, Jeanette, since we're going to be bidding out the directional drill, that maybe we bid this extension, tying in the other side of the road in as a bid alternate, so that we can at least get pricing on it, and then the board can decide if you guys want to move forward with it and expend, whatever you got on ARPA funds or reserves to do that piece.
Yeah, because it's pretty much going to be on the village for that. We have no grant or anything to cover that, and our ARPA funds are being used for I&I right now. We have a lot going on, but it makes sense to me to get it done. It's a project that never was completed in the past, and I really think that we should at least finish it. And then...
So about how much would that add?
I'm thinking, Ed, you think it's about 7 lineal feet is what I'm ballparking on it? Does that sound right?
From Black Bear Run to the river, and from the river to where the little past where the bathhouse is on the other side of the
tie-in.
Now, I know they're...
And you're going right up to the river. There's a few sticks of pipe in on the south side, right?
Oh yeah, and there's two pits already installed. There may even be a stick. They just, for some reason, they didn't finish because there was too much water. They were trying to do it in-house.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out so they could finish it. I don't know what's completed over on the Black Bear Run side.
Okay.
I
would maybe
let's
even
say 1,000 to be
Okay.
safe. We can get better numbers later, but
I'm guessing at 1,000 feet, you're probably looking at 300,000, just based on. But we don't have a lot of road. We can be in the shoulder for the most part. It's all grass.
yeah, there's nothing on Blacktop.
And then there's 3 services and maybe 1 hydrant, and we'll say that valves is probably high, 2 or 3 valves, because there's existing valves at the crossing. We're close to 300 is my guess.
300,000.
Yeah.
I think.
Unfortunately, today's costs are absolutely ridiculous. So we'll worry about that later. I just wanted to bring it up so everybody's aware. Brendan's aware. We can do it as an alternate to the bid package and see what happens.
I think that would be fine.
Yeah, on that note, we have 80 sticks of 8-inch ductile iron pipe that is desperately needed by a lot of people right now.
Yep.
And maybe 20 sticks of 6-inch pipe. This was purchased a long time ago. I don't know, how much do you think we spent on that, Brendan? 20 years ago.
Oh, back in the day, it was probably $12 a foot back in the day.
So how much is it worth now?
It's over $20 a foot, $40 a foot. So what I'm asking the board is if we consider that surplus and we possibly sell it to gain some funds the thing with the ductile iron pipe is that anything in the future that I choose to do as a project, or we choose as a village to do as a project, it's highly likely that we're going to be using HDPE pipe. Ductile iron is still, people still like to use ductile iron, but in our case, I don't think we would use it. I would save some sticks for any breaks in the future, so on and so forth, but it's just sitting there, and it's been sitting there a long time, and there's a lot of people that want it and may need it, and they may even pay a premium for it. So if we can consider a surplus, then we can either put it on Auctions International, or I can put some words out to some distributors, and we can maybe earn some money for this project that we're trying to complete.
Okay, so I'll open it up for the board to comment. My first comment is you've thrown out a lot of information, and
Yes.
I'm the type of person who needs to see it. Right? So, huh? What do you need to see?
I met Brendan and Ed up there, and the best thing to do is sell it through international auctions, or if Ed can get some contacts and get the best price for it, because it's just a waste sitting there.
Yep. Okay, any other thoughts? Jim, Rebecca?
Well, I think
Cindy?
he doesn't even want to use it in the future.
Yeah.
He has a good idea to save a few sticks and then move the rest. That's what we're trying to do, bring nothing, get money for something we can sit around.
Did you hear that, Ed? Rebecca is in favor of selling it as surplus. And Jim has no comment about selling it with surplus, and Cindy as well indicates that she has no issue. So, I believe we may need a resolution to sell surplus.
Yeah, just get me the lengths and total number and Ed, the stuff, information, I'll write a resolution.
Yeah, so it has to be
Okay.
declared, yeah, so it has to be declared surplus, and then what we sell, and then if there's a minimum bid that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think
I
we
have
need
some
to
others.
get X dollars per foot at least.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have some other things in the shed, 8-inch gasket, mechanical glands and all that stuff, whether or not people will want that with it, but it's 8-inch, so it would go with the pipe, and
Yep.
people could take it or not. I was gonna trash it all, but we might as well see if we can get something.
Always
Problem is
try
to
and
get-
sell it first.
Yeah, the problem is the gaskets are still in the box wrapped up, but they've also been sitting there for 20 years, so have they dry rotted? When I opened one up, they didn't look that bad, but,
Put a little Vaseline on it.
All right, so we'll move on from that. I'll go on to wastewater.
Okay,
We've passed our annual inspection from DEC. Same comments we normally have. He did question the engineering report for disinfection, which I thought I forgot about, but Brendan informed me that we had done it 2 years ago. So I forwarded that to DEC, so we met our deadline for that.
Right.
But he did ask, he did tell me that, 2025 is when it's supposed to be installed, and I pretty much told him flat out that at this time, I'm informing him that it's likely it won't be unless they have supplied us the grant money to do so.
Right.
He said I would do the same thing, and to get that.
Okay.
But he knows there's a new girl from EFC working there. He was gonna put in a word with her, and maybe they'll get the ball rolling on it so we can actually complete it.
Okay.
But other than that, everything went well. No issues or concerns. And then all of our high flows have resided, which is good, but also not great for our I&I study. This is the first year that I can remember that we haven't failed for April, but that's just because it didn't thaw the first week of April. It did the second week, so we got lucky. Most of the time we do. We fail for percent removal because there's literally nothing coming in, but we're still meeting our limitations, if that makes sense. And we'll be going out this week and determining what manholes need to be uncovered for an ionized study.
Okay.
I want to talk about something that has been brought to my attention. The Wastewater Surveillance Network is a program designed by DOH and the CDC to sample wastewater for infection of COVID. And originally I was reached out to about a month ago. They're like, can we do, we're one of 3 wastewater plants in Hamilton County. We are the largest, so we were chosen as their sampling spot. However, when I talked to them a month ago,
They don't want to pay us to do it, but they don't want to pay us to do it, correct?
can you let me
Sure.
finish? I'm going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
So originally they weren't going to cover the costs because they're waiting for a grant in August to pay for it. However, I did receive an email back that said, like last week or the week before, that said that they would cover the cost of sampling once a week. So it doesn't really cost us anything except for the time we're going to be spending, which is minimal, maybe 10 minutes a day to grab a sample. We put it in a box and we mail it off. Crystal should have sent the information on the Wastewater Surveillance Network to you. Did anybody get that so they could review it?
No.
You didn't get that?
Mm-mm. Oh, yes, I did, sorry.
Okay. So that's the program. Basically, they want us to take samples once a week, mail them off, just so they can have data for additional data as they are doing for the rest of the state. There are a lot of wastewater plants that are involved in this right now. I don't know how significant Hamilton County sampling would be for it, but they're trying to get all counties involved. So as long as they're going to pay for the costs, I'm wondering if the board would agree for us to do that. If I can let her know, then we can do it. If not, then we don't.
I have a question.
Yes.
Looking at the sampling details, it says we prefer 24-hour composite samples collected from the effluent stream of wastewater treatment plant. To do the sampling, you need a wastewater sampler with the ability to collect composite samples in a single bottle configuration. We have that?
We do not, but I've already worked that out with them, and they've agreed that we can do grad composite sampling for the sample that is necessary. So they are fine with that, and they've already worked it out. We don't have a composite sampler, and it doesn't make sense because we don't have continuous flow. So.
Okay, and will they provide the ice packs necessary to transfer to the laboratory? So will they provide you the ship?
I'm assuming, yeah, all the shipping information should be provided. I will double check with that tomorrow.
Okay.
If it isn't, then we'll revisit it at the next board meeting. I won't just go forward with it.
Right. So they
I'm
are.
pretty sure they mail the box to us, and we mail the sample back out that they sent to us.
Okay, but ice packs are required. So it's got to be some styrofoam.
Generally we have ice in the freezer down there, but that's minimal. So either way.
Let's just make sure that they cover what we need to send it.
Okay. That sounds good. So I guess I'm asking, as long as they're going to cover that, can we have an agreement that we will move forward with this, or do I have to wait till the next board meeting?
Board?
I won't go forward with it if they're not going to. I'm not going to, you know what I mean?
I think it would be contingent on them supplying the shipping container with the ice packs to get to where it's going, because ice itself I don't think is going to be sufficient. It's gotta be in a container.
Yeah, they're sending the cooler,
Okay,
with the shipping label for me to ship back out.
okay, and ice packs.
So I'm assuming it's going to have what it needs in it. But I will double check tomorrow. As long as it does and it's contingent on that, then we can move forward with it. If not, then I won't.
Mark?
Yeah, I agree to move forward if, it meets or, their obligations. I have no problem with that.
Okay, so then, I'd like to make a motion that, contingent upon all the, materials and supplies required, that Ed will confirming that we move forward to participate in this, program for wastewater surveillance network.
We really don't do anything but take the sample and send it off. It's pretty simple.
Well, I just need a motion. So would someone,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
second? Rebecca, any questions, comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, sorry about that, Mom. As for the upgrade project, we are near completion. At this time, most of the work that is needed is electrical, SCADA system, gritty, but any of the major stuff has been completed. Most of it's going to be Aqualogics and so forth. We're doing a startup tomorrow on our 2 sludge pumps with Keith Fazekas, and I don't see any problems with that. I think we'll be doing a startup on the Rag Monster within the next week or so. So I'm hoping everything is completed very soon. Okay. As for I'm gonna do the projects for Brendan quick so he can get out of here and doesn't have to stay any longer. Brendan's working on the project for Pump Station 2, the bid package. We haven't got anything complete yet because we've been discussing with Flight details and costs. Everything's all over the place right now. We were trying to base it on old costs from a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and that's just not going to work. So we've changed things a little bit to keep Pump Station 2 basic to saving costs. And once these details are figured out.
Just realize that we can adjust the actual cost with FEMA. So we just need to document. So if it goes a little higher, then it goes a little higher. We just need to keep our documentation clean to do it. So I don't think we should rob Peter to pay Paul. If it needs to be upgraded, if it, whatever it needs to be done, then let's do it properly and not be.
Well, I'm discussing more of the things that aren't covered, but there are some things that weren't included that Brendan noticed to make things easier, so it will increase more than likely. But if you want to add to that, Brendan, you can.
Yeah, I think what he's talking about, Jeanette, is like on Pump Station 1, we went with those high-end, those concertor pumps that are, they're variable flow pumps that ramp up and down as the flow adjusts coming into Pump Station 1. I think Ed's leaning away from something that fancy and complicated at Pump Station 2 because there's a little more steady flow. Not really a need to go that extra expense for those pumps, especially because the controls aspect to that is on the village's dime rather than FEMA because it's not replacement, it's upgrade.
Okay.
So I think that's what he was thinking. And then other than that, the only change that we kind of discovered when we were out there, as far as the logistics of being able to get in there and bypass pump around the pump station, the next downstream manhole is pretty far away, and I guess it's on a property where the property owner might not be that easy to work with, from what I've been told. So I think as part of the design, we're going to propose installing a new manhole stream side right there on the site, basically in the driveway, so that gives the contractor a spot to pump from point A to point B around the pump station while they're doing the work. Plus, it's just handy to have in the future for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 400 feet away for that manhole. So, through 3 people's property. We already have 1 manhole on the other downstream side, right next to the pump station. We might as well have another one right there, and it's just gonna make logistics a lot easier. I don't think we really ran into any other issues. Everything's pretty straightforward, but anything that does change will be covered by FEMA, that 75, 12 and a half, however that works out.
Right.
And as long as Brendan's wrote it up that it needs to happen, then it will be covered, if I'm not mistaken, right, Brendan?
Correct.
So,
Yes,
but anything above and beyond that we are doing and proposing to do,
and that's on us.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, really, it doesn't make sense to put a new structure there and not put new pumps and everything in it. So we might as well pay to do that and get it done. We have the funds to do so. And I don't even think it'll take up half the funds that we have right now. So obviously, the way the world is right now, we'll see how the bid comes in. But talking with Flight, there shouldn't be any concerns on that end. Now, what the contractor's charged to put it in, and we'll figure that out later on.
Okay,
And, did anybody have any more questions about that?
nothing. Nope,
Okay, so
For the pump to begin?
what's that?
she wants to know if you're putting up a building for the pump to go in.
So the pumps go in the structure that's there. We are considering, I've been talking with Flight and Brennan about the actual electrical panel, the actual control panel and everything. I have this vision in my head. I'm trying to make the area look as pleasant as possible for the homeowners that do use that property, because there is a beach right there, and so on and so forth. There's camps, they can see the lake line. What I'm thinking is to take the control panel, and I don't know if I talked to you about this, Brendan, yet, but I'm thinking about taking the control panel off the new pump station and structure, if it's possible. And everything will be kind of vertically in line with the lake to minimize the width, so that we're minimizing the view of the lake for the homeowners. As long as it doesn't cost a lot of extra money, I think it's important and smart that we do that. It makes them happy, and it doesn't change or affect anything on my end. The only thing we may have to worry about, Brennan, is the high water level and all that stuff. So,
No, that's fine.
I don't, yeah, I didn't know if I talked to you much about it. I know we talked about a building before. and
Yeah,
stuff,
we
but-
talked about maybe hiding it all into a shed or doing fencing around it with the privacy slats in the chain link fence to hide the whole structure. So there's some options we can look at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to minimize obstructing their view as much as possible, and just try to make them happy, I guess. I mean, I know it's a pump station and we're dealing with wastewater and it doesn't need to be pretty, but some people appreciate that. So, the last thing I want to talk about is Brendan had reached out to the mayor in regards to a grant program going through FEMA for generators. I am working on getting all of the data together for the generators, maintenance data, failure data. I'm going to get together times the powers went out, at least the 8 years that I've been here.
Right.
And all that information I'm going to provide to Brendan. We are beyond the useful life of these generators, even though they have low hours. And we have too many points of failure. We have transfer switches that are 20 years old that obviously are failing because the one at the wastewater has failed. The vaporizers have been replaced in 2015 and they're already starting to act up again. And those are necessary for the liquid propane coming out of the tank. You can't do without them. So that's another point of failure. And then the generators themselves, we have a motor that needs rear and front main seals. I was waiting on a quote for that from, Gore Electric. I haven't received one yet. But it's just a lot of work and maintenance that, in my eyes, we just need to go and get new generators.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah, I want to, and when we came in the other day, that power outage that we had the other day,
Yes.
that was scheduled from 7 to 10. Lenny says, I was about to go up there just for the heck of it with the kids. I was going to take them to the park or whatever. And it's like, oh, you won't even worry about it. Well, power goes out. 30 minutes later, I get a phone call. Generator won't run. The vaporizer had failed to stay running, and because it's not running, the generator is starving for fuel. So I had to go start that and problem, and I finally got it running. It wasn't really a big deal, but if that happens during a 26-hour power outage, we are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we need to get it replaced.
I don't know what actually this. I don't really know a lot about this grant. So if Brendan wants to add to it, yeah.
Well, it's just the FEMA hazard mitigation grant program. In the past, it was I think it was like almost 100% grant on certain projects. I think for these generators, I think it's 75 if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know if that I can look it up quick. But it's a good chunk of grant for something that you guys need, work to be done. Yeah, we obviously know we need to replace those generators, so I think it's a good shot at it, and we'll submit the grant and see how it goes. The more data Ed can pull together from previous issues that you guys have had, the better it works on the. They do it all based on cost-benefit analysis, so the more data we can show that it benefits the village to get the grant and replace it and save in the long run, the more chance we have at getting it.
Good.
And I have every maintenance record from the day those were installed. Like every time they've been serviced and everything. I mean, it's like a stack like this big. I don't think you want all that, but they can't say that we haven't maintained them, so.
Right.
That shouldn't be an issue. But we've had radiator fail, which that cost us $2,500 4 years ago because I had to be custom built. That's probably gonna be $4,000 today. For the other one, we've had water pumps fail, we've had Lovejoy connections fail, fans blow apart, they're leaking oil. I mean, you name it, it's happened.
Well, I think Lovejoy joints are an oxymoron in this case, but I digress.
They're not used anymore, but
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. Brendan's
Yeah.
got a lot going on for us. That's why I had him here today. If anybody has any more questions for him, he's here. So.
Okay. Any questions from the board? I just think that as we go through these additions to projects, that they be clearly delineated and that there's a pros and cons for trying to add it versus letting it go. I mean, I'm always of the mind, if we can fix it, let's fix it. If we can make it better, let's make it better. Because too often in the past, we've just let it go to our detriment, to the village's detriment. But I think that we need good justification. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and with the CFA round being open, Jeanette, if you or any of the board members, if there's any projects you guys are looking for funding for, feel free to reach out. Anything that pops into your mind, say, hey, is there money available for this? And I'll keep it in mind if something comes across my head. And
so in the CFA, we wouldn't be able to do the additional water crossing, the looping?
The only thing, there's nothing really available through the CFA. The only thing that really hits on infrastructure, Empire State Development will do it if there's like a commercial district kind of involved, and it's only 20% grant. It's not a lot.
Well, they'll take anything.
It's, you might be able to make that case.
And it is our
Camp of the
commercial
Woods.
district. Yeah, and it is a commercial district with Camp of the Woods and the day hab and the restaurants and and the
Okay.
business is going up Main Street, so.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I'm
even-
glad to submit something to ESD for that because ESD is actually a rolling submission now. It's not due by July, and it's a pretty simple, straightforward application compared to the other ones. The only other program through CFA that is infrastructure is CDBG, and you guys aren't eligible because of your median household income.
So Rebecca, you had something?
Yes, I did. Brandon, it sounded like we missed out on one grant opportunity because our project wasn't big enough. And now we're talking about, I think, one generator. But as a village, we need more than one generator because we need one at the firehouse.
Different projects. We missed out on the water grant project we were looking to do a bunch of water main replacement throughout the village where we've got old mains that haven't been replaced. They're still original. So that's more directly related to water. There's through the EFC water grants, it's either a water project or a wastewater project. So the generators wouldn't fall under that. And it's not that we didn't have a decent sized project. We added a bunch of main in there and made it a decent sized project. What it is you guys don't have the water quality issues that like Indian Lake's going in for money for Blue Mountain Lake, I'm sure, because they need a treatment plant for Blue Mountain Lake Water District, things like that where they just, have source issues. Unfortunately, like water main, distribution main, and tanks are the lowest scoring of water works.
Okay.
So the generator related to the water, the shown need for it is what is getting approved for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could lump in the generator into a water project. The generator for the well control building could be lumped into the water project. Unfortunately, I don't think it gains you any points when they do their scoring. But we did have, I had a conference call with the people at HMGP, and I brought up the two generators for water, wastewater, and if we need something for the fire station, we can add that one in too.
Okay.
Because I honestly thought that they were going to say, you have existing generators, we're only paying for new generators, they don't exist, but that's not the case. They said if we could document the need for it, the fact that the existing generators are beyond their useful life, and that you guys have frequent power outages, which you do, that they could probably justify it.
Good.
I will make a note that the one at the firehouse, as far as I know, is not working right now. The last time I talked with Matt, he said that he had fixed it, but the last power outage it wasn't running. So I don't know if it needs to be ran manually. I'm not really sure, but as of right now, it's not. So probably should add it in.
It did not even start manually, and it will cost, I believe, $6,000 or $7,000 to fix it. Not replace it, but to fix it.
So again, yeah, if you guys have any of that, if you have a quote from somebody that shows that that thing is inoperable without doing that repair, we throw that in on our cost-benefit analysis, and that helps the case. So, I'm game for throwing that in for the project.
Yeah, their generator is probably a third of what ours costs.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably like a 35 kW or something.
So Ed, will you contact Tim Underwood, I guess, the new chief over there, to get that information that you need for the grant?
Yeah, I will do that. Gore Electric does all the work on those as well, so we should have all the service records for that.
Terrific. Okay. Are we done? Can we move on to the I&I study? Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
All right. Tell me
In
what
the
you...
infinite wisdom, we all know, and we came down to the conclusion that we were going to hire a company to come in, clean our water mains, or sewer mains, and do the camera work. We received 4 quotes to do so, the lowest of which is American Underground Services at $24,000 plus a $5,000 contingency. for heavy cleanings and unknowns. And it's lowest by $10,000, something along those lines, probably. So I suggest that we go with American Underground Services, and I will reach out to them and get everything in the works to begin the I&I study.
Okay, then I would like a motion to approve the bid from American Underground for the I&I study. Jim Rumsey makes the motion, second. Mark, any comments, questions?
You have to, I think you have to sign their contract, Mira?
Yes, so as part of that motion, I'm sorry, let's amend the motion to, yes, is to accept the bid from American Underground and give me permission to sign the contract. So, Jim, would you be willing to?
Yes.
Okay, Jim.
Mark.
And Mark, and any questions or comments?
I have some more questions.
Yes.
I thought we decided to do the I&I study based on, like, get the grant money to do some other big project. Is this still our priority?
Yes, yes, yeah, right. So this would have to be done to present as part of the grant, right? So this just tells us how bad it is. And then the next part would be, how do we?
Yeah, this is
And
not being paid for.
Say that again, Mark?
Yeah, this is being paid for by, what's the name of it?
ARPA funds, right. So this is
I would like to note there is a grant for I&I studies, the CFA funds through EFC. However, our median household income is way too high and we do not qualify. So even though everybody told us that was the option we should go with, we already know from experience and based on our MHI that we are 99% sure we will not qualify for it. So we might as well use the funds that we've been given from FEMA to complete the first task. And because we have the first task done, it makes it easier for us to actually apply for grant money to get the problems that we find fixed through either USDA or FEMA, or USDA or EFC, however, whatever.
Yeah, the information they provide will go to Brendan, and they'll put together whatever necessary. They'll evaluate the reports.
Right.
good. So all in favor of approving Underground and allowing me to sign the contract, say aye. And Cindy? All opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Ed and Brendan. You guys have been very busy.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good night. All right.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Clerk Treasurer's report. Tracy Marshall, Deputy Clerk Treasurer.
Okay. Did we do a comprehensive inspection?
So let me finish that up with the Speedies. We get a Speedies inspection every year and we pass with glowing colors. So they said the plant is in excellent shape. So that's terrific. I did. So that was just announcing that it was a good thing. Okay. Tracy?
We still only have one application for the lifeguard for the summer.
Okay.
And we also did receive the certification. So the question is, do we want to run the help ad up on the dock for lifeguards for a few moments?
Yeah, we have to run it somewhere. Are there other places that we can post ads? Is there, American Red Cross, do they do?
Look into it and see.
Yeah, if we can find places where they hang out.
Post them at the school. You have to talk to a guidance counselor, and you can post them at Wells and Northville.
Yeah.
You may get something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We'll look into it.
Good.
We're working with the county on getting the taxes ready for printing and mailing. The tax notice to go into the computer next week and we'll run for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Crystal is working on the end of the year accounting and will present some of the final adjustments needed after May 23rd.
Okay.
Financial report 11, so for review. And abstract 22.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Tracy? No. Okay. I'd like a motion to approve abstract 22 for payment.
Mark,
Mark, second. Rebecca, any comments or questions? There was a large fire department bill over $3,000, and that was for the inspection of the truck. That wasn't exactly clear on the abstract, but that has been noted and confirmed with the new chief, Underwood. All right, all in favor of approving abstract 22, say aye.
aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Cindy Rumsey abstains. She did not have an opportunity to review due to surgery. Okay, thank you. Going on to old business, really nothing with the COVID update or the Halloween storm. We're just waiting to finish those projects. The McComas Fire Tower, we did receive word today that Murphy's Lumber is generously donating all the wood required for the base and the foundation of the tower. So thank you, Murphy Lumber, and we have a few other requests out through the McComas committee. Okay, so new business is Gilman Town Road contract. If you would you allow me to share, please? Nope, no worries. And, so, and this is May. Okay, can you see that? This is the Gilman Town Road agreement with the town of Lake Pleasant, and so they will charge us $1,500 to plow Gilman Town Road and keep the road running safely, and it's just extending it for another year. And they will charge us $1,500 per year. That would be payable December 1st. Any comments, questions? Nope.
Did they say we don't have the equipment to do that part of the road, or it's because they start?
Well, they're doing South Shore Road. They help out with the county roads.
It's not consistent.
I know that they've done the plowing and the service in the past. So we've always, from what I understand, we've always had a contract with the town to do Gilman Town.
Right, I'm just trying to understand why that particular section we don't have time to do, or we don't have the equipment, or like.
How much of the road do they do?
It is from, let's see.
Speculator to Gilman Lake.
Yeah. So the village owns and maintains a village road beginning at the intersection of County Road number 11 with said road leading from the village of Speculator to Gilman Lake and the town of Wells. Said road running in a generally southern direction to the southerly borderline of the village of Speculator.
$1,500?
Yes.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, are we doing it because they've always done it that way?
Yeah, no. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But you know, I'm sure it's small, I know 2 generations later.
Exactly. Well, I'm in line with Jim that the cost of $1,500 is cheaper than I think what we could do. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, it's a lot of road, yeah. to $500 a mile. Okay, so all in favor. May I have a motion to approve the agreement for the plowing and sanding of Gilman Town Road? Jim Rumsey, second. Mark, any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And Cindy, all opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Okay, all right. Next up is NICOM highlights. So as you know, last week I was at NICOM, and as always, very helpful updates and resulting in things we need to do. I don't think we ever get out of that. I know. So let me share my screen. Okay, so what I did is I typed some things out here. Okay, let me just, where'd it go? Sorry, I lost it. Okay, you can see that? Yes, okay. So monies have been allocated to CHIPS, Pave New York, Extreme Winter Recovery, and Pave Our Potholes. They were expecting AIM to be higher, and they cut it at the last minute. So they did not give the anticipated increase. So people are pretty upset about that. All the funding from CHIPS, Pave New York, Extreme Weather Recovery, or Winter Recovery, and Pave Our Potholes can go to paving streets and fixing potholes every 10 years. So records have to be kept for 36 years, and unused funds are reallocated every year. So the village is reimbursed at of usage, not for stockpiling, and transportation storage or transportation maintenance buildings are also covered under CHIPS. So what I would like to pose to Roger, does this now provide us with an opportunity to pave more of Elm Lake Road? If we can get more finished, I think that would be better, especially with the current prices. You can combine the programs, but you need to clearly delineate the specs for the program. And then the DPW committee, I would like to explore the use of CHIPS funds, whatever is remaining, for the DPW garage and barn improvements. So I know we've talked about selling one of the sheds, improving other areas to house the machinery inside. So maybe this is an opportunity for us to consider doing that either next year or the year after, and save it up for those things. Any comments or thoughts about that? Okay, grant opportunities, New York Forward, $100 million have been set aside from the budget to help revitalize smaller and more rural downtowns, such as us. These are selected in partnership with regional economic development councils. And so what we would do is we would work with Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board to file for a regional economic development council grant for New York Forward. So I think it'll be imperative to understand what that would involve. Could it improve the parking lot down at the pavilion that we continue to have issues with? It could be a green, a big buzzword, a green improvement, getting some plants in there, something to hold the water or allow for better drainage. So that's just a thought there. There is expansion of broadband services, and the big news is that right-of-way charges for fiber optics has been repealed. So New York State DOT was negotiating with the broadband carriers at exorbitant rates to bring fiber optics up. And I think the town of Colony, I think the fees alone were in excess of $250,000 a year. I mean, it's impossible given the amount of money they are required to charge, in these areas. So that's a really good thing, I think, for the North Country in general. And then the big news that we should all be happy for at least 6 months, is the suspension of state gas tax starting June 1st to December 31st. And anyone want to guess how much the tax is per gallon without looking at that sheet? There it is, 16 cents. You are the lucky winner, Shorty.
16 cents is the state.
Yep, 16 cents is the state. Right, so they're encouraging others, if there's a county tax or anything like that, that those be repealed or suspended for at least 6 months. There are a couple of bills of interest that affect us. And the biggest one is they have put in a bill for all electric buildings constructed after December 31st, 2022. And this would require the use of electric power as the sole source of energy. So the law would prevent all cities, towns, and villages from issuing building permits after that date unless the construction would use only electric power for all energy needs. And there are some caveats with respect to the number of floors, et cetera, but that would be detrimental to us up here. Yeah, especially considering the instability of our electric infrastructure is just crazy. So I am going to contact our senator and our assemblymen, begging them to work hard against this, and especially in such a short order without anything to support it. It's really detrimental. The other session that I attended a number of sessions. One of them was on code enforcement. So they went through a variety of methods for code enforcements that are available. There's criminal, civil, judicial designations. So there's a number of different things. It was important to note, I think, that local governments are required to adopt a program providing for the enforcement and administration of the uniform code. So right now we go with the state, the international code, but we have to adopt a local law establishing a local government code enforcement program by the end of 2022. So a sample copy was provided, so we will need to work with our lawyers to ensure it makes sense for Speculator because it's not just a cut and paste. So I'd like to ask that our code enforcement officer be a part of that, and if I can have one other board member help spearhead that through. No, can't be. Jim says it can't be him. Cindy, Rebecca, Mark. Okay, thank you, Mark. So Mark, Rick, and I will work with our lawyers to get a law that we will put forward. We have to also explore spelling out specific fines. At present, there is no local law, and the state allows for up to $1,000 per day, but that would be dependent upon the judge who imposes those fines. So we can also write into the law how much we would charge per day for violations following, a 30 or a 60-day grace period. So lots of things to consider. I think the open meeting law was the most confusing, but interesting. And okay, so Public Officers Law, Section 103, Open Meeting Laws. There is a requirement that the public must be able to attend meetings. This has been replaced by Public Officers Law 103-A for video conferencing. So there are a few things. The public body must first authorize the use of video conferencing. They have to adopt written procedures. They have to have a quorum of public body physically present at the public location. So in this case, a minimum of 3 people would be here and 2 could be video conference. Except during executive session, members of the public body must be heard, seen, and identified while the meeting is being conducted. So right now we've had some call-ins in the past, but they would need to be seen. Minutes include which members were remote. Any notice informs the public that video conferencing will be used. It provides a web address and details, and provides details for accessing records. We need to record the meeting and post the link of that recording on the official website within 5 days. I think Tracy and Crystal will be delighted to know that video records must be retained for 5 years and only transcribed upon request. I knew there was going to be a sigh of relief. So we also need to allow for remote public participation if public comment is authorized, which we do, and maintain an official website, which we do. So this is called limited video conferencing. So that's the quorum in a public place. And then all public bodies must adopt a resolution following a public hearing authorizing the use of video conferencing. So there's a template that's going to be provided by NICOM that we would adjust for ourselves. We'll get it the way we think it's best, and then we would hold a public hearing for that. So
That's not going to change what we do as much.
no, but when the emergency measures put forward by local end in June, we can't do this anymore. So in order to be able to continue what we're doing, continue those measures, we would have to adopt a video conference policy and resolution. So something to consider. I will send you the open meeting best practices, and when I get the template for the policy, let's discuss that. I think it's helpful when we have members of the board traveling, and this could extend to the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. Okay.
How would that have worked during the emergency? You have 3 people here in the building when they run around the relay out,
Yeah, so the quorum is a new addition. So during the emergency, no one has to be in the building, right? No one has to disclose. And under non-emergency conditions, let's say you were traveling, you would have to meet in a public place, like a public library or, someplace so that you would be accessible to the public instead of your home, unless you're going to let the public in your home. Correct.
But how
What does that mean?
would the public be in Oshkosh if she's in Oshkosh?
There may always be someone in Oshkosh. Listen, people from Speculator are everywhere.
Interested in speculator do this activity?
Well, let's say the other trustee Rumsey was in South Carolina, and there were a number of people who were in South Carolina at that time. So, in theory, if they wanted to, they could meet in a public place. Trustee Cindy Rumsey was, maybe.
But the trustee would have to find a public place?
Correct.
In their,
Correct.
away from home place.
Unless you want to invite people in your home.
And then how does that information get out to the public?
We would have to post it in the announcement of the meeting. So we would have to say, these are the public meeting sites, these are the times, these are the places. Right.
And then
So we
that
wouldn't do a Zoom.
information of the public library in
Correct.
whatever town South Carolina.
Correct.
So on our website.
Correct.
Not that hard. You don't have to transcribe.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So now this would be what they call limited video conferencing, where the quorum meets in the public place here. We video conference the remaining, and we have video conferencing available to the public, so they don't need to go to a public place. And we need to be able to see them, hear them, and have them be able to comment. So I'm going to send that stuff out. Let us digest it, think about it. By next meeting, that'll be, if it's not extended, that'll be our last Zoom meeting. So just throwing that out there. Okay. And then, finally, I would like to propose that the Finance Committee look into, New York Class, which is the Cooperative Liquid Assets, Security System. And so this is a program, for municipalities. It's a cooperative agreement. And what it does is it invests our funds. So instead of a bank account per se, we still need a bank account, but those additional funds, those monies that we have for capital funds, capital projects, that sort of stuff. New York Class allows same-day availability of funds. They allow deposits by wire or ACH, secure online access. It's a managed portfolio, competitive daily yields, unlimited sub-accounts, no minimum balance, no transaction fees. It's audited annually. Direct deposit of state and federal payments can go in there. And then there's a dedicated client service representative. So I would like the Finance Committee, consisting of Trustee Cindy Rumsey, Crystal O'Brien, and myself, just to explore if that's an opportunity, if that's a better way for us to house our monies. We would still need the bank account that we have, but it may provide us a little bit of a return.
Is that a 1 year thing? And then
No, annually. I think that's something that we, as far as the interest?
No, just trying to make this work too. Like they make it appealing to get you in. Once
Right.
you're in, is there something beyond like the following year?
I think those are things that we need to ask. Yep. Yes. Okay. Any other questions, comments on NICOM? No? Okay. Okay. Roundtable, it's just reiterating that Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning is offering a webinar series. I know that Trustee Smith and I have signed up for 1 or 2 of those. Again, a reminder that the 50th anniversary of the Speculator Seaplane Fly-In is the first weekend in June. They'll be landing at the public beach. And then the Historical Society and the library are hosting Lori Rankin, the New York State Forest Fire Lookout Association director, who will be giving a presentation on fire tower history across New York State, and locally. So she'll focus locally on Pillsbury, Hamilton, and the McComas Tower, and that will be on June 4th at 7 p.m. At the library, yes, thank you. Okay. So at this, yes, yes.
If you read the paper, India Lake has got a grant through American Main Street or something. For trying to revitalize downtown. That's something we're trying to do through our Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning.
With New York Forward.
Yeah.
Right, with New York Forward. So there are 2 programs. One is Revitalizing Main Street. And what they do there, Jim, is they actually give grants to reclaim abandoned buildings and help revitalize. I don't think so.
The shed over at the town.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, so we really don't have any abandoned houses. You know, the only building that we don't see much activity at is the old Village Hall. Although this past weekend I saw someone in the garage working on a truck. So someone must be around somewhere. The white building on Elm Lake Road?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So they did paint it, so they upgraded it.
What's the status of it?
It's a veterinarian who was abroad, and there was talk of bringing a veterinarian to town, and that's been on hold. So the building was looking pretty shabby, and he very kindly painted it, which was great, so it doesn't look like an eyesore. The owner contracted to have it painted, yeah. Okay, anything else with there is one more thing, for the roundtable. On Saturday night, when I was driving back into town, someone was on the point, with a campfire. So, just want it out there that campfires are not permitted in the state, in the park, on the beach, nothing. No fires, no camping, no overnight stays.
Was it on the grass and destroying the grass property?
I did call the sheriff, and Deputy O'Brien went down, and he said it was fishermen who were down there who come every year, and they immediately put it out. The fire was on the gravel portion, not the grass, so there was no damage done. Roger did confirm going down today that all remnants had been removed. So it's just a shout out for people if they see something weird after hours when the parks are closed, to say something, to report it. And especially now when risk of fire spread is so high, with the breezes and things like that. There is a fire ban except for small campfires, through, what was that, Mark, May 15th?
Correct.
May 15th, right. And there is a shout out for anyone who would like to help Twigs get ready. On May 19th, they have a cleanup starting at 9 a.m. So if there are any members of the board or the town, the village, who would like to assist in
May
that,
19th, you say?
Thursday.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the Duffers are doing tent setup on the ambulance, doing tent setup on this coming Saturday, the 14th.
Oh, great. Yeah, so that's probably allowing them to move stuff out there. Terrific. Okay. This ends the general portion of the meeting, and I would like a motion to adjourn the general session. Jim, second? Second. Rebecca, all in favor say aye. Aye. Well, now we're going to make a motion to go into executive session, so hold on. So now I'd like a motion to go into executive session